Sam Raimi, why am I still obsessed with your first Spider-Man movie? And why does this look more like you than Peter Parker? Gee, he sure puts his thumbprint on everything, doesn't he? Usually it's a weird angle, snap zoom, or shaky POV shot. People often bring up Evil Dead as point of reference for Raimi, and I get that, but the unsung father of the first Spider-Man film's gotta be... Oh, to have $1 for every shot Spider-Man takes from Darkman. But you've also got a blueprint for the Oscorp lab, Darkman's DNA footage reused for Peter Parker, Darkman's hideout, Doc Ock's hideout, a damsel in distress on a construction site. Power of the pussy prevails against the bad guy.
She doesn't date freaks.
MJ and we're gonna have a hell of a time.
Tell me this isn't a trial to do this. From shooting love scenes in Mum's Oldsmobile with high school pal Bruce Campbell,
it's the car I could borrow and we'd run over dummies with it,
to creating a POV terror doing this, to some of the most creative camera work ever seen in Evil Dead 2, to the thrilling drama of A Simple Plan, Raimi was ready for his big break come Y2K.
And now he's got the raw cash to make it happen.
He took the immortal Oldsmobile, the Bruce Campbell, his love for the Silver Age comics, and brought it all to Spider-Man. See, like his ex-flatmates, the Coen brothers, Raimi understood the camera telling a story, a means to convey a scene or character in a certain way. Does tilting the camera here not tell us how ill Peter Parker feels? Is Goblin grabbing at Spidey not all the more menacing from this angle? Is the barreling POV terror in Evil Dead any different to this? Relying on his DIY roots gave even the mess that is Spider-Man 3 distinct visual style. Yet when it comes to the human drama, Raimi throws out the clever camera work, so you're drawn to what's happening in the frame. Oh, it's not just the kiss that makes this scene iconic. Yeah, later baby, we gotta talk about your film. Can Elfman do one score that isn't the same as Batman? MJ?
Join us.
Chapter 1. The best performance of the worst written character. Willem Dafoe terrifies me, mainly as Norman Osborn, ironically. That mirror scene completely sells the duality of Osborn and Goblin as one, and I buy that he's the on-screen father of James Franco. What I do not buy is the Green Goblin's character motivation, or lack thereof. The writing really drops the ball once he murders the Oscorp board members. He wants vengeance for being screwed over, sure, but once they're all wiped out by a bad CGI effect, what does he want?
Imagine what we could accomplish together, what we could create.
Think about it, hero!
Was that supposed to tempt Peter? It's good for the hero and villain to meet before they clash again, but this scene could have been used to explain a real goal instead of "Join me, Spider-Man, and we'll go be evil," or something. No, don't you get it? Goblin's there to solidify Spider-Man's morality. He's the antithesis of Peter, choosing to see the worst in people. Could have put Lord Farquaad in there and said the same thing. Why not have Norman take the board members out one by one, and despite becoming self-aware in the climax, he still tries murdering
Max, please.
a character set up as someone he was close to, they did nothing with. Anyway, Spider-Man intervenes, Norman dies at his own hands. Thematically, the consequence for giving in to revenge, opposite to Peter Parker rejecting it. In a film like Gremlins, you could forgive this, since the bad guys are literal monsters hardwired to cause chaos, but this is a human being who, as we saw, was previously driven by something. On the flip side, the best written character is the worst performance in the movie. Mary Jane has trauma. Dating douchebags like Flash and Harry Osborn are, I guess, a way to justify her father's abuse. Sadly, it's what she's used to. We know she'll fall for Peter, but it's how she gets there that's interesting. She starts with this people-pleasing party girl facade, gradually straying away from it all.
Why didn't you wear the black dress? I wanted to impress my father.
Well, maybe he'll be impressed no matter what.
But still does things that don't show the real her. Harry can't know she works a low-paying job. She wears black at Thanksgiving to impress Norman.
Do what you need to with her, then broom her fast.
Even after this, she looks toward Spider-Man. Perhaps for escapism, under the self-assured guise of love. Only when life flashes before her eyes, Mary Jane realizes she wants to be with the one who sees and accepts this real her, who inspires her to love herself. This plays out well, because with Peter, we've seen flashes of the real MJ throughout the film. It's a strong character to care for. On paper. I just can't buy Kirsten Dunst's performance.
They said I needed acting lessons.
Hammy lines like,
You're taller than you look.
I hunch.
Don't.
are actually less bad than, my hands are dirty. My hands are dirty too. But the delivery from Fisher and Ford still evokes your emotion. I think these scenes are saved by simple dialogue while being carried by Tobey Maguire. I know that was a weird way to start this, but I think it's wrong when people say, I'll keep nostalgia out of this video. I need to go back on it, so hope you trust I'm faithful to you. Not like my ex-girlfriend. Was I Tobey Maguire? He pulls off the awkward outcast most of us can or have related to well, yet can snap to this rabid wolf foaming at the mouth out for vengeance. I know this Spider-Man deviates from the wisecracking persona in the comics, but Raimi shoots these scenes in a way that sets a dark tone, with a certain intensity. If you threw in some sarcastic quip,
trick or treat,
you'd be
out of your mind. Out of your...
Maguire's delivery could be better at times, I'll agree with that. But when quips are appropriate, Raimi gets the best out of him.
Jeez!
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
I love the wrestling scene. Spidey striking his signature poses from the comics. There's another cool shot from Darkman. And once he wins, we're relying on Maguire's eyes to sell us Peter's glee solely through the mask. And I love this character's layers. Once he's bitten by the spider, he hasn't really changed as a person, but rather pursues his crush even more. And blinded trying to impress her, he rejects advice from the one person who wants to help him, who understands what he's going through. Peter's last interaction with Uncle Ben being this rejection is powerful, but it's Ben's death being the consequence for Peter not doing the right thing that grounds this, that sets the lesson in motion. See, Spider-Man does some cool shit, but he's nothing more than a metaphor for a boy learning to become a responsible young man. Going from this,
And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
to this,
I have a father. His name was Ben Parker.
and from this,
The woman I've loved since before I even liked girls. I'd like to tell you that's me next to her.
to this.
Truth is, I love you.
I will always be your friend.
Only your friend?
That's all I have to give.
The one thing this kid's longed for his whole life finally presented, and he rejects it, to once again do what's right. She doesn't know why they can't be together, but we do. It would be heartbreaking if Kirsten could sell me on it. Not like James Franco sells Harry Osborn. You really feel the internal conflict of a spoilt frat boy who's never been loved, who lives in his father's shadow. All Harry wants is Norman's acceptance. He's basically rebelling against his dad in the beginning, not wanting to be seen in the Rolls Royce, putting this too cool for dad act on to Peter.
I think he wants to adopt you.
It feels like a denial phase, and despite what appears to be regular emotional abuse from Norman,
It's not the first time I've been proven wrong.
Harry puts his father before everything, even when taking his girlfriend's side as smacking him in the face is the right thing to do.
Right, if I'm lucky, I'll become half of what he is. So just keep your mouth shut about stuff you don't understand.
That last scene of father and son reconciling, classic manipulative parent toying with their child's emotion, dangling love like cheese to a mouse, and so it's logical Harry would want Spider-Man dead after seeing him with his father's corpse.
What have you done?
We've seen he's a little short-fused, and I love the nuance of Harry heading back to the Rolls Royce in the closing scene. He goes from rejecting the way of his father to becoming his father. It's nice having fleshed out characters who change throughout the film, but it's how they play off each other that grounds the believability. Peter wants MJ, which is what Harry has. Harry wants his father's acceptance, which is what Peter has. We feel the surrogate father idea that Raimi wanted to focus on. I think this could have been more impactful if Uncle Ben stayed alive a little longer. It'd show Norman as this dark shadow to Ben, and without the tragedy to guide him, Peter might have actually been tempted by Goblin's offer. Having said that, Peter out for revenge while still learning to use his powers makes for a damn emotional sequence. Imagine, just for a minute, that your father, assuming he's not a cunt, is sprawled out on the cold hard pavement, dying. The last you spoke was when you told him to get lost, and now or never, you have a chance to punish the one responsible. The spray-painted ski costume, the blind rage paired with the amateurism. We've seen Peter mess up several times and he's still out of his depth. It's the perfect way to pace an origin. An origin the script can focus on because it gets so much out the way in the first 10 minutes. I won't pretend I haven't heard other people talk. How we know the four main characters and their relationships in the first 5 minutes, that stereotypical outcasts nor even the bus driver want a bar of Peter Parker, how he gets bitten by the spider barely 10 minutes in. So much happens, but it doesn't feel rushed. Why? Take this. We learn Harry's flunked out of several private schools Norman put him in. He feels Normie did this to further his own image. Yes, this establishes their troubled relationship from the get-go, but as Harry emotionally exits the car, he forgets his bag, and Norman brings it out to him. Now this may seem like nothing, but it establishes the flowing nature of the writing. Things happen to service, something set up before, the character-driven story, and normally accomplish more than one thing. Let's break this bag down. A hint Harry can't look after himself without father. Create an opportunity for Norman to meet Peter. Plant the surrogate father story and watch how it affects Harry. And the private school mentioning is paid off in a humorous way.
I know what it's like at those fancy private schools, Osborne.
Which then gives Peter a chance to have this nice moment with MJ. You could go on with since he took this chance he becomes Spider-Man and this film snowballs so organically in its first half, I'll stop, you get the point. Payoffs are like basic language to cinema, yet a lot of filmmakers don't bother with it. Something will just happen, like continued in part 2. Part 2. A thesis on the devolution of CGI. Spider-Man's CGI is dated, but is blended with live-action wow to never take you out of the scene. There's a real video game goblin in that New York solidarity part, but I think this might be a reshoot in response to a certain event that occurred. New York's another character, yes, that this film nails. Without the city's perspective, Spider-Man is nothing. These extras are real workers filmed on the fly. And instead of gothically fetishizing the place like Burton did to Gotham, Raimi's team focuses on interesting real locations. I really like the Rockefeller Center rooftop gardens and the Flatiron building. This world reeks of those 60s comics Raimi grew up reading, especially with character cliches like Betty Brant. I mean, she's
a bit like you, my damsel in distress.
Mr. Jameson, Spider-Man. Yeah?
Ha! Last I saw Ted Raimi, Darkman made him eat tire.
And so should you!
Spider-Man wasn't These are getting too expensive for the shit.
And Robbie Robertson represents the positive view of Spider-Man. He's there to ground the city's divided perspective. Of course against...
Who is Spider-Man? He's a criminal, that's who he is. A vigilante. A public menace.
How would I describe J.K. Simmons' performance? A guide to improving on source material. And it's smart we don't meet JJ till after Spider-Man becomes prolific, as it makes his intro all the more epic. There's one point I feel the pacing's a bit off.
You make this work or I take you out.
And that's jumping from the kiss scene to the burning building. Like, you got this romantic sort of tone, the harmonious music swelling, then blam blam blam, cut to fire trucks blaring in this blazing building. It feels disjointed, as if something was missing. Maybe a moment for Peter to mull things over? Or jerk off?
Bit of a slob, isn't he?
The Thanksgiving scene's so rich. It's the only one shared by all four mains, and so much is at play. Goblin realises who Spider-Man is, what's left of Norman's conflicted because it's this kid he's taken a liking to, Harry's exposed as only dating MJ to impress his father, MJ's done with shitty guys and subconsciously drifts toward Peter. I briefly touched on why she thinks she loves Spider-Man from here. Had she just told Peter she loved him in the hospital scene, it would have made sense logically, but then your ending's pretty anticlimactic.
There was only one person who I was thinking of, and it wasn't who I thought it'd be. It was you, Pete.
So, good use of showmanship. Or whatever it's called. High Top Films pointed out that Peter and Norman wear opposite costume colours here, and that Harry wears both, implying, I guess, that he could go one of two ways. But how's about green at graduation after Goblin attacks Quest Aerospace? Norman and Harry both in all black the last time they see each other. Woody Woodpecker on the alley wall was a nod to the Coen brothers. I just wanted to reaffirm their relationship with Raimi. They used to collaborate and borrow each other's styles. That style seeped into this Spidey, making it a whole different beast compared to Marvel's
generic cookie-cutter movie factory
schlock. Plus, there's a time and place for a hot aunt, and it ain't here. But Rosemary Harris is this voice of reason?
Well, that's perfect.
I love the moment she says lightheartedly,
"Would it be so dangerous to let Mary Jane know how much you care? Everybody else knows."
I'll be right back.
It's that organic screenwriting again. Given Aunt May was just attacked, Peter's reaction makes sense, and it's a good way of getting Spider-Man to the climax.
Don't do it, Goblin!
It's known this is a nod to Amazing Spider-Man issue 121, the night Gwen Stacy died. A gritty way to start the film, had David Fincher been chosen to direct. Seven, The Game, and Fight Club were tight, so I'd have loved to have seen this approach. No, too dark for kids. Gee, speak for yourselves, Columbia. Do you ever notice how the tone darkens across each fight in this movie? The festival, there's sound effects, Goblin makes noises, his Power Ranger suit's showing in broad daylight, yikes, and for like 10 seconds, Peter doesn't react to this terrorist attack at all. He kinda just stands there. The fiery building, a baby nearly dies, Goblin jump scares us wearing his comic colours posing as an old lady, and back to this real abandoned smallpox hospital. There's no score, Maguire came up with 16 different ways to groan so it doesn't feel like Mortal Kombat. What sounds like rusty steel gates for web sound. And Spidey's face nearly getting blown off not only makes a badass action figure, but it's a great way to convey Peter's emotion when his arc comes full swing. No pun intended.
His name was Ben Parker.
That's my last bone to pick. Uncle Ben is played brilliantly by Cliff Robertson. I still melt inside every time I see his reaction here.
And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
Right.
But he and Peter could have spent a bit more time together. They only share 3 scenes, if you count Peter rushing upstairs sick after he's bitten. My gripes aside, this is a great superhero debut and a solid film altogether. Do you think Marvel knew they had a winner on hand? Well, looking at Daredevil released around the same time on a decent budget, I wouldn't think so. I actually find Matt Murdock more interesting and sympathetic than Peter Parker. Handicapped as a kid, relying on his other senses to defy the odds against crime in and out of costume. But he didn't have the creative vision bringing him to life that Peter Parker was blessed with. That guy, directing the new ones, John Watts, he doesn't whip the camera around, and yeah, he's no auteur, but what those films really lack is heart. There's a surprisingly low amount of Spider-Manning in Raimi's version. It uses superpowers to tell character stories. The new stuff uses character stories to tell superpowers. When a film can engage people with no interest in the genre, like Martin Scorsese or my parents, well, great. See, being accessible is as important as being relatable. Oh yeah, I could never relate to a billionaire with endless money to invest in his resources, let alone someone who worships and prospects for that very guy. Without trying to sound like a blanket Chris Stuckman script, Spider-Man 2002 is a coming-of-age story. An outcast teen who's down on his luck gets put through the ringer losing a loved one and learns to always do what's right after being tempted with revenge. And sorry to keep bringing him up, but that's the contrast I love between Darkman and Peter Parker. One gives in to revenge, the other doesn't. It shows Raimi can handle an idea from different angles and still touch the audience. A true master of his craft. Overall rating? Just make of this what you will. Thanks for watching, people. P.S. Check out Darkman if you haven't already. It could be the most underrated film of all time.